Before the cross became a global symbol. Before the name, Jesus, echoed in cathedrals, churches, and streaming sermons. He was just a man walking dusty roads in a small corner of the Roman Empire. Or was he? Yuval Noah Harari, the renowned historian and author of Nexus, believes that the Jesus we know today is largely a construct, shaped by legend, emotion, and mass projection. Is he right? In this video, we dive deep into Harari's bold claims. And we respond, not just with faith, but with reason, history, and hope. Part 1. Harari's view, Jesus as construct. Harari writes that it's impossible to reconstruct an accurate image of the historical Jesus. After all, no contemporary portrait of Jesus survives. The Gospels were written decades after his death by followers, not journalists or neutral observers. According to Harari, all we have are emotional projections, layers of meaning added over centuries. He says, Jesus likely started as a local Jewish preacher. He gained a small following through his teachings and healings. But it wasn't until after his death that the myth began to grow. Through stories, symbols, and church power, Jesus became a global brand, perhaps the most recognized figure in human history. And yet, no one knows what he looked like. The Bible never describes his face. Every painting, from Renaissance masterpieces to modern memes, is based on imagination. So, Harari asks, is Jesus real history, or is he the world's most powerful symbol? Part 2. Why Harari's perspective resonates. Let's be honest. Harari's argument has merit. Religions have shaped cultures. Stories evolve. And yes, people often project emotions onto figures, parents, heroes, political leaders. The Jesus story has been retold in 1,000 ways. In Africa, he is the liberator. In Latin America, the friend of the poor. In the West, sometimes the therapist or cosmic guru. Harari is right to notice that Jesus has been adapted. Christianity spread through art, language, architecture, and eventually, the internet. Memes, movies, and megachurches all carry different versions of Jesus. But does this mean Jesus is only a story? Part 3. The glaring oversight. Christianity is based on a claim. Here's what Harari misses. Christianity does not begin with a myth. It begins with a claim. A radical, dangerous, historical claim. That Jesus lived, that he was crucified, and that 3 days later, he rose again. This isn't poetry, it's testimony. The apostles didn't say, we dreamed it. They said, we saw him, and they died for it. You don't die for a metaphor. You don't face lions in the Colosseum for a fable. Something happened that transformed cowardly fishermen into fearless missionaries. Something broke through history and made it holy. Part 4. More than projection, the power of transformation. Harari argues that Jesus was shaped by human projection, but the reality is more astonishing. Yes, people projected onto Jesus, but he also projected something into them. He healed the sick. He welcomed the outcast. He forgave his enemies. This wasn't emotional fantasy, it was revolutionary love. It birthed hospitals, orphanages, literacy movements, and civil rights revolutions. The cross, once a symbol of Roman terror, became a symbol of hope. Not because of marketing, but because of mercy. What kind of story has the power to remake the human heart? Part 5. What the Gospels actually say. Critics say, but the Gospels are biased. Of course they are. They're written by witnesses who believed. But they're also detailed, consistent, and grounded in real places, real politics, and real pain. Archaeology continues to confirm details in the Gospel accounts. The crucifixion under Pontius Pilate? Confirmed. Jesus' hometown of Nazareth? Confirmed. The early Christian movement in the Roman world? Unavoidable in historical records. No serious scholar denies that Jesus existed. The real question is, was he who he claimed to be? Part 6. Beyond Harari. The question for us today. Harari challenges us to see Jesus as a product of history. But what if history is the product of Jesus? What if the reason his image became so powerful is because something in the human soul recognizes him? The longing for meaning, the ache for forgiveness, the hunger for love that doesn't die. What if the story of Jesus is not just something we created, but something we were created to receive? Closing. A personal invitation. Jesus is not just a meme, not just a myth, not just a moral teacher. He is the Messiah, the Word made flesh, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. You can debate history, you can question theology, but you cannot ignore the billions of lives changed by him. Not through power, but through peace. Not through fear, but through forgiveness. So, what will you do with Jesus? Not the meme, not the myth, but the man, who is also God.